I'm Fran Rogers. I even have a badge to tell me who I am today. And I'm part of the Hydra's Music Teachers Association, and they are sponsoring this workshop. And it just sounded like a good thing for us, for our group, as well as the community. So glad you got the word. If you could silence your electronic devices. If you're going to record with your electronic device, that's fine, but we don't want extraneous noises to interfere with the wonderful noises that we're going to make ourselves. The bathroom is out the door and around the corner. We've already announced that. Okay. There will be a slight break in the middle. That's according to whenever, and we have bottled water in there if anybody gets parched, as well as some goodies during the break. So, thank you for coming.
Good morning and welcome to the workshop. Good morning. Please open your manuals to page 5.
Read and everything.
Repeat everything the way I do it. I'll explain later. Page 5. Listen, sing, repeat. Please repeat after me.
Listen, sing, and repeat.
1. Tune your ear to concert pitch La A 440 Hertz. It's written down over there. Please read that out.
Turn your ear to concert pitch La A 440 Hertz.
Use either alphabet or solfege or numbers, whatever you're comfortable with. Ready? La, si, do. 3. Establish the new tonic with this pattern that we're gonna sing. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, mi, re, do, re, mi, sol, do, la, si, do, re, sol, do. Turn the page to number 8. Use either 1, 2, 3 or do, re, mi or ABC. Ready? Listen first. Sing. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. Listen. Sing. Do, si, la, sol, la, mi, re, do. Listen. Sing. Listen to the major chord on step 1, the tonic. Listen. Sing. Listen. We're gonna listen now to the harmonic scale with 7 notes. Sing. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. Listen. 5 scale with 7 notes. Listen. Sing.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do.
Listen. Sing.
Do, si, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do.
Listen. Sing.
Do, mi, sol, do.
Listen. Sing.
Do, sol, mi, do.
Thank you. You can close the manual. Just gonna wait for my friend Stephen. You can follow along. The little brochure that has this cover is basically an exact copy of my notes that I'm gonna go through the whole workshop, so you can follow along. I apologize for the handwriting. This was intended to be a 6-hour full-day workshop, so I compressed it to 3 hours. That's why I had to take notes and kind of readjust everything, but you'll get used to my handwriting as I'll read along, and you'll understand. But the idea is for you to be able to kind of visually follow what I'm gonna explain verbally, because the visual is an important way of learning. Just gonna wait for Stephen to come. Stephen is here.
Mozart stuff.
Come on in, Stephen.
Wolfgang.
Come. Everybody's waiting.
I know.
Yes.
And then your son.
Yes.
In Germany now.
Yes.
That's a good job.
Oh, he's got everything done? Of course, thank you. Thank you.
He's
Thank you.
Wolfgang, Wolfman.
Yes, my friend Stephen. Good morning, Stephen. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, Howard. Pleasure to be here.
That's okay. If you want to follow along with us, one of the little brochures is this one, Stephen. So if you open it up, you'll see exactly the chronology of things that we're going to talk about. You only missed a little introduction. It's called the warm-up. So now I'm going to do the proper introduction, but I wanted to get you immersed a little bit into the practical aspect of ear training, because the purpose of this is not to listen to me talk, but the purpose of this whole workshop is to introduce you to a classical method of ear training for musicians that is considered very successful. It's been in use by the Italians, French. I'm originally from Romania, so the pedagogical development in Romania is based on Italian and French schools of music pedagogy. So solfege, do, re, mi, is the main method used to immerse students from a very young age, 5, 6 years old, through singing with do, re, mi, reading, writing, and recognizing. That's the fundamental method for most of the countries around the world and in the United States, but not everywhere the same. So, as an introduction, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Ridgecrest workshop, ear training. Special thanks goes to Fran Rogers, the president, look right here, my eyes, thank you. The president of the High Desert.
I'm not president. Melanie.
Hi, Melanie.
Oh.
All right,
I'm in it. I'm just in coordinating.
one of the important people behind the scenes of the High Desert Music Association. Thank you for sponsoring this event, and thank you, Melanie. And of course, Deb Veit, who was very gracious to offer us this, her classroom actually. I try to keep it clean and reorganize everything at the end. So thank you, Fran, and thank you, Deb. Wonderful musicians. I had the pleasure of listening to them in concert and practice. So, quickly my story. I'm originally from Romania. I teach this workshop for over 30 plus years. College students, aspiring college students that are interested in going at a high level performance school like Berkeley, Juilliard, Curtis, Eastman, and so on and so forth. Ear training is a prerequisite for admission, whether you're a singer, a pianist, doesn't matter. You have to demonstrate your ability to sight read, recognize different combinations of sounds and all that. So, I was born in Romania many years ago, 1955. Lived most of my life with my family in Brooklyn, New York. And as of last year, I was invited to set up a music program for the elementary school, the charter school, the wonderful little charter school down the street, run by the executive director is Dr. Steve Martinez. And the founder of the school is a wonderful, wonderful lady, NASA scientist, Elsa Hennings. So they asked me to implement a music program for early childhood, mostly Orff, Kodai, and other things, syncing, movement, the usual things that my colleagues are doing here in town quite well. So that's my long story short. I'd like to get to know everybody real quick. Thank you for putting name tags on, and I can read them. I guess I have the whole list. Maybe I don't have the full list because Fran has the actual list of people that showed up. So we'll just go around real quick. And Fran, I guess everybody knows you. What I like to know real quick, besides your name and your occupation, I'd like to know if you're a performing artist, a music lover, a student, and so on and so on. So this way I can assess kind of the profile of the group. So I can adjust my teaching with things that can be quite easily understood by music lovers that want to learn about music and people that are already experts in their field. Fran?
Okay, Fran Rogers, I do play the cello and love music, but anyway, I am a teacher, a private teacher. I have taught in the schools. I don't want to really talk about that 1 year because it was banned. But just being part of the music in this valley is wonderful. Been many, many years.
Thank you.
I'm in the orchestra, ensembles, all sorts of things. So.
Thank you. Deb?
Deb Veit, I'm the music teacher here, trained musician by trade or whatever, so actually a band director. I do the college band also. And but I also have a minor in vocal music, so that, and actually don't have any degree in elementary education, but education classes, so.
Thank you. Now we're gonna go along like 10, 12, 15 seconds or less, just quickly so we can cover the whole class real quick.
Yeah, I'm Greg Britt, and self-taught guitar player. I'm accused of singing. We have a little group with Michelle and my good friend Joe Chesney called Ray Band. Play the USO all the time. Benefits and stuff like that.
My name is Michelle Findley. I play in the Desert Community Orchestra. I play in Ray Band. I sing at open mic a lot. I have a nonprofit organization called Mellowmania Entertainments here in our community. It is focused on raising music for young raising cash and music for young musicians. There's a festival April 28th. All the proceeds go to the middle school orchestras. I'm hoping to expand the choirs into the eventually to the charter school if it grows really big over the years. But anyway, so we play in a lot of stuff and we're really interested. I brought my daughters with.
Thank you.
Shannon, you can introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Shannon Findley. I play cello and violin, and I also sing.
I'm Nicole Finley. I play, I'm a student in Burroughs High School, and I play in the orchestra. And I also play in DCOA, and
What is your instrument?
I play violin and ukulele.
Mark Morley, I've had 45 years of being music director at churches. Currently I'm the choir director at the Presbyterian Church, and I also teach piano.
Thank you, Mark.
Hey, my name is Yao. I just love music, love singing.
How do you pronounce your name?
Yao?
Yawa.
I'm Greg Cote. I'm a scientist by training, but I make noise with a lot of different kinds of instruments.
Thank you, thank you. This is one of the few places in the world where I don't feel that intelligent anymore, because I was told beforehand, back in July when I accepted the assignment here, that this area of the country has the highest PhD ratio in the country. So finally, I feel like a mediocre person, which is, is humbling and makes me feel good. Sir?
John Clary, I'm a freshman under Simon Austin, electric guitar and piano.
Thank you, Simon Austin and Lisa, what wonderful musicians and new friends. Sir?
Roger Walker, I'm a retired music educator in the Valley for 33 years. I taught band and orchestra at Murray, Burroughs, North Southern Schools, and I play trombone, tenor tuba.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jerry Peterson. I'm a retired teacher and
Music?
no, elementary. And I'm an amateur musician and I play various instruments from clarinets, probably my main instrument.
I'm Melanie McDonald. I'm a pianist and an accompanist. I've been teaching piano for, oh my goodness, 51 years.
That's what
Wow, long time.
Nobody's counting. Thank you, wonderful, wonderful.
I think that was wrong. I think it was like 40 years.
Yeah, that's more like.
I was gonna say, I'm not that old. Wait a minute.
You started when?
I started taking piano when I was 6, but I started teaching when I was 18.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I know.
My name is Kathy Sales. I'm a retired engineer for the bass, and I play the guitar and sing with a small church group.
That's right, thank you, Jim.
Nancy Hodge, no real formal training. I've taken piano and trombone in high school, but I sing with the Methodist choir.
I remember this wonderful thing.
I'm Marianne Benson. I love music. I teach elementary and I sing in the high school.
I'm Harry Stevens. I'm a computer geek here on bass. Played several instruments most of my life with about a 30-year hiatus until recently.
Steve Fleischer, I've played the violin and viola for 50 years. I also sing in the Seventh Adventist Choir. I've done that for as long as I lived here. I work on the bass as an electrical engineer. I've also done
He's one of those PhDs.
No, I'm not a PhD. I've taken a lot of master's classes, but I'm not a PhD, and I've done countless solos.
Thank you, Stephen.
Melanie Litton, I'm a piano teacher for about 9 years now, and I'm working on a piano pedagogy certificate online through Valley City State University.
And you're also the president of the music.
And I'm just by default, because nobody else will do it.
My name is Micheles. I'm going to be totally lost in this class because I don't read music. I've sang my whole life. I sang in rock bands and done theater. But I just started singing in our worship team about 6 months ago. And I is our worship leader and Deb Veit.
Thank you for sharing. I will adjust my explanations and it's going to be super, super easy.
My name is Mariah Pepper. I'm the music director at RCM Church. And I have 2 years of jazz vocal college at Azusa Pacific University.
Wow, congratulations. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name's Lois. I'm retired. I've always loved music, but never had the opportunity to get into it. But now that I'm retired, it's free game.
Thank you.
I'm Sharon Bruin. A stay-at-home mom of 3 little boys.
Your son is my student, yes.
And he loves Mr. David. And the 2 older take violin from Carol Sue, and she's also teaching me to play the violin, so I can play with.
That's wonderful.
We're forming our own little quartet with the baby.
Thank you, thank you.
Carol Sue McKenzie. I'm a Suzuki violin teacher in the Valley and play in the Desert Community Orchestra and been doing the Suzuki thing with Shirley Helmet for 40 years.
Thank you.
Jay Hodge, I'm an engineer on the bass, and much to the distress of the Methodist choir, I try and sing there.
Thank you.
My name's Tom. I'm a handyman, and I sing in the Ridgecrest Presbyterian Church Choir with Mark Morgan.
Thank you very much.
I'm Kathy Cummings. I'm a retired computer scientist from the base. I have been singing for a long time and coordinate music for, I've actually sung at Grace Lutheran, United Methodist, and the Presbyterian Church.
Congratulations.
I'm Logan Cummings, and I also sing at the Presbyterian Church.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Now, we're gonna go to the number 3 here. See, I numbered the cards, so you can see we're gonna finish number 2. The structure of the workshop, we're gonna break after 15 minutes. We start about 12:10, so I think our on the hour is gonna be 10:10. So we break at 10 o'clock. No, 10:10 is gonna be a full hour. So we break at 10 minutes. We relax, whatever, and then we repeat that 2 more times to create a little more balance, so it doesn't get too intense for anybody. So that's that. So that's the thing here. I invite you to either audio record if you want to keep a copy of this, but whatever I record here, I'm going to put it on YouTube, and I'm going to put it on a private channel, and I'm going to distribute it to you so you can listen to this again and again.
All right.
Yeah, to me,
Cool.
education is a very important issue. I was very fortunate because I was born in a family that was able to get me out of the country when I was 11 years old. We're of Jewish faith, so they allowed us to leave back in the 60s. It used to be a terrible communist country. I mean, the people are wonderful. Now they're on their way to democracy, and they're doing great things in Romania. Wonderful people. And to me, education is a very important thing, and I take a strong stand against education based on zip codes. And I think you all understand what this means. So I believe every child in the world should have access to the highest level of education, not just because you live in New York or you come from an affluent family, you should go to Juilliard or MIT. If you're capable, doesn't matter where you are in this world, and you're talking about the US now, you should be able to go anywhere. That's how I look at it. And education to me is a fundamental right that goes along the United Nations Convention for the Rights of the Child. I worked for many years with humanitarian affairs back in Eastern Europe, about 25 years ago, when the wall fell down and there was a kind of a re-emerging of democracies and all that stuff. So I was involved. I had several nonprofit foundations that we worked along big American organizations like World Vision, Catholic Charities, and so on, to provide assistance. And in that experience of about 12 to 15 years, I developed the humanitarian side, understanding the plight of children around the world, which includes the aspect of education. And now narrowing it down to music, I believe that every child, and I'm sure everybody would agree, that every child should learn and study music as it benefits them in infinite ways, emotionally, morally, culturally, socially, and so on and so forth. A lot has been written about music education. So I'm a strong proponent. I'm politically active as much as I can, and I always join the movements wherever I am in Ridgecrest or NYC to give my voice. So a little bit about the background. So please take notes, audio record if you want to. I'll post this so you guys can, we have your emails, you can access it, share it, and all that. Supplies, number 3. You have a manual, notepads, pencils, whatever you need. Here, this is all for you. I introduced the whole thing, every part that we're gonna, after we break, we come to part 2 and part 3, we'll continue with the singing of the other 5 parts. The whole book is a collection of 7 units, organized with a certain logic that I will explain shortly. And of course, these manuals are yours to keep. And the theoretical stuff that's in there, we're not gonna go in depth, because there's no time and there's no need, because you will have time to read this and study. Those of you that want to practice this and need a little extra help, you will have, and this is printed on the bottom of the manual, but you can also write it down. I created a free YouTube channel with all my 32 lessons in real time. So there's over 600 little lessons that I share with the world, you know. In my relationship with organizations like UNICEF and so on, I provide them with a link, and they're able to, when they want to do that, they distribute that link to certain parts of the world where there's no access or there's not enough money to purchase it. And you'll have the actual lesson in English for now. Though we have advertisements in many languages. You will be able to follow each of the 32 lessons in real time, chopped down in 14 little parts. So it's not like a half an hour lesson and you don't know where you are. So each part is one clip. Each part is one clip. So it's very easy. You go to part 2, you click on part 2 and so forth. So the name of the channel is called youtube.com/ilearnmusic4free. That's what my son was 10 years old, Jacob, said, Dad, make the name catchy. What is this, learn something, And he's right, the name, I tried to put in that name, the message, learn music for free. And then he made a wonderful observation. Young people are super smart today. He said, Dad, it's gonna be one word. It looks boring. 10 years old. Put number 4 instead of FOR. So it's I learn music for free. And he's right. Visually, you see the 4, right? I have the PhDs here to recognize that. So that's the name of the channel for anybody that wants that. So we have the structure. So the question you're asking yourselves today is, I'm at number 4, is what will we accomplish today? What I try to teach is something that it is taught for over 100 years in all European countries and Eastern European countries, for that matter, Central America, South America, which are all based on European methods of teaching with music. It is a method of relevant combinations of sounds, meaning certain sounds that are relevant to form the language of music. So, we know that the C major, by the way, how many of you read music? Doesn't have to be fluent. Just, you're able to know that that's a C, and so on. So most of you, I suppose, right? By the way, the first and the second lesson of the 32 lessons have the names of the notes written underneath in 3 systems, with numbers, with alphabet, American British system, and the rest of the world, do, re, mi. Well, the Japanese use their own variation on do, re, mi, and Indians, they have their own saragama, po, da, ni, similar syllables for the same purpose. But for the intent of learning for young children or young starting musicians, the first and the second lesson, you can read the notes. So, the second lesson being the minor relative. So, by the way, if anybody has a question, you can either jot it down in the Q&A section that's going to be at the end of each third of the thing. You notice there's the next page will say Q&A, and you can jot down questions, or if something is pressing right now, just ask me and we'll answer the question. So, if you don't understand something or something needs clarification or things like that. So, we spoke about this, we spoke about this. So I intend, while I'm here until school breaks on June 1st, I will be here another 7 weeks. So I will offer the same workshop, moving on to the next lessons, which are the next keys in the system, plus an introduction to music theory, which has to do with the theory of intervals, scales, and chords. Okay, all these are college courses that cost quite a lot of money, but these are prerequisites for anyone that wants to understand music at a technical level, sort of like the engineering of sounds, which is structure, and to function in a more literate way. Doesn't mean that you cannot be a great musician playing by ear without actually reading notes, and you don't even have to understand. There's great musicians in this world, that Sinatra, Pavarotti, great musicians, pop stars, that do not need to read notes. They have such a phenomenal sense of hearing and understanding that they pick it up. My father was one of the most famous singing crooners of Romania in the 1930s. He never learned how to read notes. He knew how to read notes, but great singers, they say, would you please play this for me? You know, and they play something. And she goes, da-da-dum, da-dum. They speak, they connect with the music without the coding. So this is just a code, like a computer language where you say, oh, this means this. So we need to do that for the average person. I never considered myself talented. My father thought I was gonna be maybe following his footsteps, but he had the gift. I'm educated, I can say that I'm educated, I'm still learning. But in terms of natural talent, that's a special aptitude that certain people are blessed. But that doesn't mean that the rest of us cannot be well educated, or even people that have the natural talent cannot study this. It helps you. It accelerates learning and a deeper understanding, whether you're a composer or a performer. So getting back to, turning the page now to page 2, number 5, is the question, what is ear training? So can anybody tell me, like, quickly, if I say ear training, what does that bring to your mind?
Suzuki violin.
Well, yeah, you can learn. Suzuki was one of, I think it was Shino Suzuki, I think. Shinichi, thank you. A great educator from the 1940s who understood the value of citizenship, and the purpose of instructing children with music was to create better citizens in terms of morality, kindness, cooperation, and so on and so forth. And it's a wonderful way to introduce children to explore sound without the derivative addition of going, especially very young children, 3, 4, 5 years old. But as they get older, they get introduced to notation, all that. But learning how to play by ear at a young age is a lifetime gift. And I would encourage any parent to take their children and introduce them to Suzuki, whether they want to go to Juilliard or they just want to love music. It's a wonderful, wonderful early music education. So what is ear training? Well, to me, ear training, if I may say so, is a little bit like learning to read and write, or in a simpler way, observing objects, the equivalent of visual understanding. A child sees things, understands what it is, what it does, and the same thing with sounds. Sounds are all around us. There's 3 types of sounds. There are sounds in nature, there's noise, and we can